the record, Something. It's brilliant. And I don't mean to blow smoke your way right at the beginning, but I've not been able to stop listening to it for the past few weeks.
Awesome.
So the first thing that jumps out at me as I first heard it was your sense of melody in this has grown so much. I mean, even, beyond when you get to the lyrics and obviously the musical directions, what you're doing vocally is just, I mean, it's almost like hook after hook after hook. So what went on in the last years that led you to, was that a strong focus is what I guess what I'm asking here?
I guess the relationship between my voice and the melodies just comes right out of pleasure. Like I see hooks as things that are actually really enjoyable to sing, that are kind of like, oh, God, how do I put it? Almost like ways that you can like massage your own body from the inside, because it kind of feels good to do it. I know it sounds like super sexual, but I like writing lines that are really fun for my voice to sing and kind of sink its claws into a little bit. So I think it was a kind of non-intellectual inspiration.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's all throughout the record, and just I think a lot of artists have trouble finding one great melody for a record, and I think you've probably nailed like a dozen or so. So
thank you.
Yeah. So while you were making this, though, and all the success that you got from the debut record, was there ever that spot where you said, geez, we got to follow that one up? Bruises was that whole thing that Bruises was. Do we have to follow Bruises up, or is this whatever it's going to be?
Well, the interesting thing was I didn't feel that we needed actually to write anything that resembled Bruises, but we were very aware of the fact that there was an audience now for our stuff, and in particular an audience that was looking forward to kind of two particular aspects of our stuff. One being the kind of like sugary, positive melody of Bruises. I think that's what people, really liked about that song. And then on the other hand, the kind of like dreamlike wordplay that happened on a lot of the other songs. And it was interesting kind of having days where I thought, like, yeah, I totally get that about our stuff, and I want to do that too. And then other days where I was like, well, fuck that. That's not what I feel like writing today, so I'm not going to. And both were okay. So it was kind of feeling the tension that sometimes we use to our advantage and sometimes not. But, it was definitely there, yeah.
And you got pared down to a duo this time around. Yeah,
we did. That was actually our decision. Our former guitarist, Aaron, towards the end of touring the first record, was starting to kind of come up with very different ideas for how he wanted to make his future work than how we did. So instead of trying to, instead of trying to smush those two ideas together, we just separated to make two different projects.
So as you're going about this, and I've noticed this lately, now that you're putting out all the publicity photos and getting ready to ramp up, I mean, art it's no surprise, art has always been the other side of Chairlift.
Definitely.
You have the music, and then when you're putting all this together, is it a persona that you guys are trying to project? Is that part of it in the photos, in the videos?
It's definitely not a persona. I almost wish that I had one, because that would make things a little bit easier. It's more just trying to find a visual way to represent the character that I feel like we are in the music. Mm-hmm. It's like kind of sly, kind of playful, kind of sexy, but kind of obtuse and manic at the same time. So it's been a really exciting challenge to try and find just kind of different ways to access that. And I think we're actually starting to get somewhere. We're working with our good friend Alejandro as an art director, and he has very similar taste in music and sense of humor actually as we do. So it's really nice to have someone else to kind of bounce ideas off of and get inspiration from.
Yeah. Quite a bit of attention off of the video for Amnesia. It's not the first time you guys danced in a video, but it seemed like it definitely brought out the lovers and the haters.
Oh, which is fine. It was weird because that was the first song that we released off this record, and that was the first thing that kind of broke the radio silence that we'd had for about a year and a half while we were making the record. And I really had a feeling like there was nothing to lose, because I kind of felt like we didn't exist anymore. Like we kind of stopped doing anything publicly for so long that I kind of stopped being aware of anyone watching us or caring. So it's kind of like, well, that's it. And I'd had this idea kicking around in my head for literally about 6 months that I wanted to do a sign language dance. I wanted to kind of set the different synthesizer sounds and lyrics in that song to like very literal hand gestures, and almost teach them as if it was an instructional video for American Sign Language. And right before actually digging into that idea, right as we were mastering the record and starting to think about the first video, my dad, completely unrelated, showed me a ballet piece on YouTube from the mid-'60s by a French choreographer named Maurice Béjart, and it completely made my brain explode because I'd never had any interest in formal dance or ballet or anything like that. I was so impressed because I didn't realize that dance could evoke feelings like that were that alien and yet minimal. And even the feeling of the video, the fact that it was from the mid-'60s, compressed for YouTube, the colors had these kind of halos around them. I loved how pared down it was, and I just knew, well, this is the genre that I want Eminem and Isha to be as like a video. Like I want it to be this kind of, yes, it's a hieroglyphic hand dancing stuff, but with this format of this kind of like 60s ballet. So literally the next day after she showed me that video, I signed up for ballet classes and started working on the dance, which took me about 3 months to finish.
Wow, that's dedication.
Yeah, it got kind of obsessive, actually.
I read an interview at some point in the past year with you that you were saying, obviously you get to travel all over the world, but you never, ever get to see it because of the touring schedule. Just curious, in the downtime between the records, have you been able to kind of fix that?
No, in the downtime we've done exactly the opposite. We've become kind of little cave people, where we travel past from our respective bedrooms to either our computer or Dan Carey's computer, back and forth every day. But it's funny because spatially we haven't been moving around a lot, but mentally I feel like we've been covering a lot of ground, or like musically and referentially. So that's the part that really excites us anyway.
Yeah. And is there still going to be an album with violins at some point?
Well, funny. It definitely won't be with violins, although I do hope to tour with them. We're playing a show with them in mid-January, which I'm really excited about. George and I are always kind of messing around on something. Actually, just like an hour ago, we were talking about doing like a death metal record together. Nothing but guitar and screaming. So it's like, there's always an idea being tossed around. But if we do it, it definitely won't be under our names, and definitely not under Chairlift and Violence. It'll probably be some sneaky alias or something.
That's not foreign to you, the death metal thing, the screamy thing, at least. I mean, that's kind of where you started, right?
Well, when I was 17, I was in a couple new metal bands, but I was doing like belting singing, like in a really awful way, like I would never play for you. It was like Evanescence or something. It was fucking awful.
Oh, fantastic. I can't wait till the expanded editions come out in 20 years and you're ready to let go of those.
Oh, no, that's never coming out, ever.